Jesus and the Brave Girl, a journey to the dragon's den. Join us on a heartwarming adventure and captivating tale of faith, courage, and redemption. Follow the brave young girl, Lieza, as she embarks on a daring quest to rescue her mother from the clutches of fearsome dragons.
The people lived in constant fear in a small village at the base of towering mountains. These mountains were home to the dreaded dragon's den, shrouded in mystery and terror. Legends spoke of fierce dragons that guarded immense treasures within the cavernous depths of the den, but no one dared to approach, for the dragons were known to be merciless. For years, the villagers lived in peace, centered around farming, raising livestock, and worshipping in their humble temple. But one night, the dragons descended from their mountain lair, sweeping through the village in a whirlwind of fire and fury. They took the villagers' most precious possessions, their crops, livestock, and even the gold coins they had saved for generations. The once thriving village now lay in ruins, and the inhabitants were overwhelmed with despair. Among the devastated villagers was a young girl named Lieza. She was a spirited child known for her kind heart and unwavering bravery. A brutal dragon attack shattered her world and took her mother. Lieza watched in horror as the dragons carried her away, leaving her heartbroken and determined. Since that terrible night, Lieza had been inconsolable. She couldn't sleep or eat, her thoughts consumed by the image of her mother in the clutches of the fearsome creatures. The villagers tried to comfort her, but nothing could ease her pain. Desperation grew within her, and Lieza knew she couldn't just sit by and do nothing. Before her dangerous journey, Lieza went to the village temple, where she had often prayed with her mother. The temple was a place of solace for her, and it was there that she felt closest to God. Kneeling before the altar, she clasped her hands tightly and closed her eyes. She prayed, her voice trembling with emotion.
Dear Lord, please guide me and keep me safe. Please help me find the strength to rescue my mother. I am afraid, but I know you are with me.
A warm sense of peace filled her heart as she prayed and felt renewed strength. She knew that she was not alone, that God was watching over her. With a final prayer, she stood up, determined to do whatever it took to bring her mother back. Without telling anyone, Lieza left the village, armed with nothing but her courage and a small pouch of food. She ascended the treacherous mountain path toward the dragon's den. The journey was long and arduous, with the path growing steeper and more dangerous with each step. As night began to fall, Lieza found herself lost in the dark, dense forest surrounding the mountain. The trees seemed to close in on her, and the forest sounds became more ominous. Fear threatened to overwhelm her, but she pressed on, driven by her love for her mother. Suddenly, out of the darkness, a warm light appeared ahead of her. Lieza cautiously approached, and as she drew closer, she saw a man sitting by a small fire. His presence was calming, and his face was kind. Lieza felt an inexplicable sense of peace wash over her.
Are you lost, young one?
The man asked, his voice gentle and soothing. Lieza hesitated for a moment, but then nodded. She confessed.
I'm trying to find the dragon's den. The dragons took my mother, and I must save her.
You are courageous, but the path you are on is filled with dangers. Why not rest briefly and tell me more about your journey?
The man's eyes softened with understanding. As Lieza sat by the fire, she felt a sense of trust in this stranger. She told him everything about the dragons, her mother, and the fear gripping the village since the raid. The man listened intently, never interrupting, his expression one of deep compassion. When she finished, the man spoke.
Lieza, the strength of your love for your mother is remarkable. But sometimes, even the bravest need help. I believe we can find a way to bring your mother back together.
Lieza looked at him, With wide eyes, she asked, sensing there was something extraordinary about him.
Who are you?
The man smiled warmly. He said,
I am Jesus, and I will help you on your quest.
Relief flooded through Lieza as she realized she was no longer alone. With Jesus by her side, she felt renewed hope and courage. They continued their journey together, with Jesus guiding her through the darkest parts of the forest and helping her navigate the treacherous mountain paths. When they finally reached the entrance of the dragon's den, Lieza's heart pounded with anticipation and fear. The den loomed before them, a massive, dark cavern that seemed to swallow all light. The air was thick with the scent of sulfur, and the ground trembled with the presence of the dragons inside. Jesus turned to Lieza and placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. He said,
Remember, Lieza, love is stronger than fear, and faith can overcome even the greatest challenges.
With those words, they entered the dragon's den together. Inside, the dragons roared, their eyes glowing with fire. But Lieza stood firm beside Jesus, her fear replaced by a fierce determination to save her mother. Jesus spoke to the dragons with authority and compassion, asking them why they had brought so much pain to the villagers. The dragons, still fierce, but now curious, listened as Jesus explained the power of love, forgiveness, and redemption. He spoke of a world where even the most vicious creatures could find peace and purpose beyond destruction. As Jesus spoke, Lieza's thoughts were only of her mother. Finally, she cried out,
Please, where is my mother? Please bring her back to me.
One of the dragons, moved by the girl's desperate plea, revealed that they had not harmed the woman. She was being held deep within the den, safe but frightened. The dragon, who had taken her, had felt an inexplicable regret. Jesus turned to the dragon and said,
Release her, and let this be the beginning of a new bond between you and the village people.
The dragon hesitated, but then nodded, vanishing into the cave's depths. Moments later, Lieza's mother appeared unharmed and rushed into her daughter's arms. Tears streamed down Lieza's face as she held her mother, her heart overflowing with gratitude. The dragons, witnessing the reunion, were touched by the love and forgiveness they had seen. They pledged to protect the village from harm, vowing to be guardians rather than destroyers. As they returned down the mountain, Lieza walked beside her mother and Jesus, her heart light with joy and peace. The story of Jesus and the dragon's den spread far and wide, becoming a tale of hope, transformation, and the incredible power of faith. From that day on, the villagers and dragons lived in harmony, and Lieza never forgot the lesson she learned, that with faith and love, even in the depths of fear, there is hope, and even the most fearsome beasts can find redemption.